family. It's High Noon. You're tuned to the State of the City. Here live on Soul Classics 1590 WFBR. I'm your host, Brother Muhammad. Let me thank all of you that the sound of my voice is coming to at the top of the hour, the top of the show, and the top of the flow for having us locked in and clocked in on those raggedy radios. Please do yourselves a favor. Turn them up nice and loud to get you a big fat Thursday, late morning, early afternoon crowd on this Thursday, December the 12th, 2013, and then go one step further. Call your family, call your friends, call your kit and kin, call those that have your complexion, those that have your divine connection, and those that want to work to bring about some universal corrections in the city and the state and this country and on the planet, and call the co-workers, the slow workers, and even more, those that's guaranteed to be no workers right about now. Let them know that the State of the City is on the air. Got a lot to share, got a special guest joining me on the line in just a few. So let me start the show off as I always do by first and foremost reminding you that we're now streaming live on the World Wide Web at www.1590wfbr.com. And for those that would like to join us on our social network media page, you can do so kindly by going to our Twitter page, which is the #1 State of the City, or you can send me the Facebook request to be my Facebook guest for the next hour until we're through at Darren, D-A-R-E-N, State of the City. Last name is Muhammad, M-U-H-A-M-M-A-D. Get it right, spell it right, and you'll have us locked in your site. And for those that would like to join us on TuneIn, on those iPhones and those iPads, all you have to do is go to TuneIn and zoom in, and you'll be soon in listening at WFBR 1590. And last but surely not least, those that would like to cut right through the gap, hear the yip yap, all you got to do is go to our Spreaker app at www.Spreaker.com, and you'll be listening to the show in the flow before you know. So with that, let me start the show off as I always do, each and every day and in each and every way, by dedicating the show to my brother and friend, Brother Eric Easton, and to all of those whose eyes are open wide, using the third eye, the pineal gland, and can see the signs, the symbols, and are wide awake and alert today. For the saying goes, big field awaits the wide awake man and woman to work out in. And with that, let me get one or two announcements out of the way, and then we're going to get back into, of course, as we dedicate the show once again to the legacy of the man, the mission, the movement to bring about freedom, justice, and equality in South Africa, to our people, black, but to all people in South Africa that want to be free, black, brown, red, yellow, and white as well. But he's continued to be more memorialized today, continue to be celebrated, to continue to be educated. And at the same time, we have to do our job in educating the generations to come on the true legacy of South Africa and the apartheid system, on the true legacy of the Honorable Nelson Mandela, on the true legacy of Queen Winnie Mandela, because many of your young people may think when you say Winnie, they think you're talking about Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and the rest of the crew. So we have to make it clear to the young people that we are talking about Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela, and our brothers and sisters in South Africa that were fighting against the apartheid system there, as we were fighting during the Civil Rights Movement, the Black Power Movement, the peace movement, and the human rights movement for freedom, justice, and equality against the apartheid system that exists here in the confines of the United States of America. And so we'll get back into that today. We'll be joined shortly on the line by Brother Richard Muhammad, the editor of The Final Call, to give us an update on the latest of the greatest, the boldest of the oldest, and the sincerest of the fearless newspapers. I speak now of that instrument of truth, that trumpet that is blowing in North America and around the world, The Final Call newspaper. So he's going to be joining us shortly on the State of the City. But in the meantime, and in between time, of course, let me get one announcement out of the way. This event is going down at Terra Cafe this upcoming Saturday, December the 14th, from 2 to 4. That is a taste of heritage, of the African heritage, a cooking series hosted by, again, Brother Terrence Dixon and brothers and sisters at Terra Cafe. So you don't want to miss this. This is a free 6-week class and series that will be taking place. So come on out, meet, greet, and eat. But again, that's this upcoming Saturday, Terra Cafe right there at 25th and St. Paul. And if you want more information, you can give young brother Adante a call at 970-823-2683. Again, that number is 970-823-2683. This event is taking place this upcoming Saturday at Terra Cafe, a taste of African heritage a cooking series that will be hosted by Brother Terrence Dixon and other brothers and sisters that will be participating in this event as well. So again, if you want more information, you can call Terror Cafe, 410-777-5277. So with that, let me share with you what we're going to hopefully get an opportunity to get back into this afternoon, if time permits, as we have talked about. And don't think you'll hear this kind of information being shared on any other radio station, black, brown, red, yellow, and white. Not to romanticize, not to sanitize, not to minimize the accomplishments of, again, the Honorable Rohila Mandela, known by many as Nelson Mandela, referred to by the name of Madiba, not Medea, for some of you that will be going to see Tyler Perry and Medea in a few weeks in terms of that cross-dressing man. But your president, which I'll talk about in a few, because some of you didn't like me talking about your President Barack Obama yesterday, in terms of, again, his speech, which was, again, out of place, out of space, and it was a disgrace. It was not the forum. It was not the forum, nor was it the proper decorum for him to take umbrage to decide to use the funeral and the memorial service of Nelson Mandela, a freedom fighter, a revolutionary socialist communist who spent 27 years in jail, died at the age of 95 years old, that then you would use his funeral and his memorial service not to shake hands with Raul Castro, the elected president and commandante of the small island of Cuba, not to perhaps, kind of carry on like a child in a church that can't sit up and pay attention, not to lollygag and to maybe flirt with the Dane, the great Dane from Denmark, but again, to use the funeral service, the memorial service of a great man in Nelson Mandela as a campaign pitch. And again, as I said before, it was not the proper time, proper place, no proper space. It was not the proper forum, nor proper decorum, if I can keep it 100, as the young folks say. And of course, after the memorial service that afternoon, there was a journey to the city of Durban, South Africa, where they've held, again, conferences against racism. They've had one conference, two conferences. I think they've had three conferences. And the hypocrisy of this president, the hypocrisy of the United States government, along with their twin towers in imperialist power of Israel and Britain, not to send one representative to the Durban conference, but yet they would try to use the funeral of Nelson Mandela as a campaign speech. A campaign speech, what I'll be talking about over the next couple of days as we look at who benefits and ask the questions regarding, again, what will happen to South Africa, what will happen to, since they're getting ready to go into elections, I believe, in 2014. And both parties, the white parties and the black parties, are claiming Nelson Mandela. So you got many and plenty that want to maybe perhaps cloak themselves into the garment of Nelson Mandela. But I'm going to get back into that today. I'm going to talk about, again, if this perhaps could be something bigger regarding the death of Nelson Mandela, particularly since we have to look at all of the signs. We have to look at the symbols, because the old saying goes that a picture is worth 1,000 words, one picture, and one symbol is worth 1,000 pictures. So we have to ask the question, was there more to the death of Nelson Mandela? From the timing of his announcement of his death, from the day of the announcement of his death, of what events were going on in the world at the time of his death, from the dinners that was going on at the White House, 2 dinners. The White House announced his death as if he was the president of the United States. And, of course, the 2 movies, the recent movies of Mandela, one starring Terrence Howard and Jennifer Hudson, and the other one starring the 2 British actors of Idris Elba, which many of you sisters, of course, seem to have a candy crush on him, and perhaps some of you brothers as well. 2 British actors playing Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela without the permission of the Mandelas in terms of the mother and the father. So we'll have to look at that, and particularly during this time of the year, since we are in the time, as many of our elders and scholars, from Del Jones to, again, Baba Barashango, as Brother Steve Coakley has talked about these interlocking relationships and these interlocking organizations, whether we're talking about Skull and Bones, whether we're talking about the Bilderbergers, whether we're talking about the Freemasons, whether we're talking about the Jesuits, whether we're talking about the Knights of Malta, all of that has to be shared with the public for you to know. so that you could see the signs and the symbols. Boy, as Paul said, we war not against flesh and blood, but rulers of the darkness of the deep and spiritual wickedness in high places. Or as Jesus said, how do you see men? Do you see them as trees, or do you see them as they truly are? So know that we're in a time now in terms of looking at what is happening in the universe, what is happening in the solar system, what is happening on the planet. And we'll have to ask, could this be a blood sacrifice, and to who and for what is the bigger question, since according to the London Telegraph that his funeral was planned over a year ago, 1 year ago. So clearly there are those in the know that knew that there would be the death of Nelson Mandela. There would be the cessation of life of Nelson Mandela, who was the president in South Africa for 5 years, 1994 to 1999. So we'll have to come, and if time permits, go deeper into that conversation after I'm joined on the line with Brother Richard Muhammad to talk about just that. So let me go to this quick musical break, and then we're going to go to get our brother up, the editor of The Final Call, Brother Richard Muhammad, to talk about, again, the latest of the greatest in terms of the information that is in The Final Call. So listen to this message, and we shall be right back with more of the State of the City. Welcome back. You're listening to the State of the City. I'm your host, Brother Muhammad. And now, family, it gives me great honor and great delight to bring up and introduce once again to some and reintroduce to others and allow more of you to get acquainted with the editor of the baddest, of the boldest, the oldest of the boldest, and the latest of the greatest newspapers on the planet. I speak now of The Final Call. This brother is the editor of The Final Call, Brother Richard Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Hey, wa alaikum salam, sir. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How about yourself?
And I'm fine, brother. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, sir. Honor's always mine, brother. Well, before we get started, man, let's give out your contact info where you can be reached.
Well, you can get us at finalcall.com. You can follow me. It's at RM Final Call on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook. And our number is at the office is 773-602-1230. extension 342 if you're trying to reach me.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about, man, before we get started. Cannot go any further without asking, how is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Well, the minister's actually great. He actually, if we were fortunate Saturday,
yes, sir,
we saw a new broadcast, and I think if you saw him in the broadcast, he was certainly, man, just full of life and enthusiasm and all of the beautiful, wonderful things that we like to see. So he is still recovering, doing well, still at work, and still as in love with black people today than he was yesterday, probably more so.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, speaking of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, latest issue of the Final Call, of course, if you want to get into that for us and share that. I don't have my copy, but I will have it before the sun sets today. I believe it is dated December the 17th, volume 33, number 10. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, sir. Well, let's go ahead and talk about it. Front page, of course, the Honorable Nelson Madiba Mandela.
You know, this was and I really hope that everyone will make a point to pick up a copy of the paper. It's really historic. We tried to cover Mr. Mandela in ways that others would not, and really point out some things that had been forgotten. We started with a statement from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on the passing of the Honorable Nelson Mandela, and the minister, of course, and a photo of Mr. Mandela and the minister from 1996 during a meeting that they had in Johannesburg. So that's not a picture you're going to see on CNN, ABC, CBS, or even TheRoot.com. But you can see it at the Final Call.
That's right.
Then we devoted other issues, other coverage to The Struggle Continues, which talks about one piece that deals with Mandela, America, Israel, and systems of oppression.
Yes, sir.
And what was going on yesterday in terms of Mr. Mandela and what is happening tomorrow. We also have another piece. Madiba's fight has ended, but the battle for full freedom and black progress still remain. So we wanted to get beyond this kind of misreporting as if all the ills had been solved, and as if
that's right.
Mr. Mandela was a savior who was crucified, and with his crucifixion, we've all gone free. Well, you know, the whole spiritual goes, must Jesus bear the cross alone and all the world go free?
That's right.
So there's a cross for everyone.
Yes.
And there's a cross for me. So the social, the political, the economic crosses that have to be borne in South Africa remain.
Yes.
And it will take concerted action to move our people forward. Good photos of the minister and Mr. Mandela, as well as other freedom fighters, the late Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, the late Yasser Arafat, and President Castro of Cuba. Got a piece by Brother Akbar Muhammad, Mandela, man of character and principle, which talks about his relationships with people that he refused to denounce, even when the West wanted him to denounce them. And I've got a piece, Mandela and Farrakhan's Jewish problem as well. So those are some of the things that highlight this issue, and you can get it at finalcall.com. But I really have to say, it's nothing like holding this print edition. It's really, I think, something that you want to hold on to.
That's right.
We also have, additionally, Winnie and Nelson Forever Linked to the Freedom Struggle.
That's right.
Where we talk about the history of the mother of the nation, Winnie Mandela, and Nelson Mandela and their history. And we kind of close the package with Mandela, Apartheid, and Cultural Revolution, where we look at the role that black entertainers and South African entertainers and others played in raising their consciousness and being part of this movement to end apartheid. And my editorial is about misdefining Madiba, and I go through some of the myths and some of the things that the media has done to try to misportray who he is. So it's I think it's a very nice package of information, and I really hope that our people will pick it up and hold on to it, because I think it brings a needed perspective as we talk about this man's life. And even more than that, what this country and our people face going forward.
Yes, sir. Again, family, just tuning in, having a conversation with Brother Richard Muhammad, editor of the Final Call newspaper. Well, that's important, brother, because we're at a time now, as we said before, where there's a purposeful plan to try to rewrite history and re-white history, try to romanticize our history and sanitize our history around our struggles dealing with apartheid there in South Africa and apartheid here. As I've talked about, of course, they have these movies. Hollywood definitely plays a role heavily in that right now. But this is, to my knowledge, the first time that Hollywood came out with 2 Mandela movies within a 2-month period, one starring Jennifer Hudson and Terrence Howard in September, and now this recent one, which is coming out on Christmas Day, the Weinstein brothers, who supposedly brought us Django, along with, I can't think of the Hudlin brothers, but anyway, they got the one with Idris Elba and the 2 British actors that's coming out on this upcoming Christmas Day. Talk about the importance of that for the generations that's coming behind us, because we grew up at a time in terms of black empowerment, black nationalism, black Pan-Africanism, and black consciousness, where everybody was wearing the kente cloth, had the Mandela pictures, Mandela mugs, next to the Malcolm X T-shirts, Dr. King T-shirts, the Kennedy pictures, and the white Jesus, right? But now we're at a time when if you tell our young people, you say the name Winnie, they think we talking about Winnie the Pooh, brother. So please, I mean, if I can keep it real, brother, they think we talking about Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and the rest of the crew, man. So talk about the importance of this, brother, protecting that legacy and respecting our legacy and not neglecting to teach the generations that's coming behind us.
You know, brother, that is so important. And it is so important because when we leave that void, then we allow the enemy to educate our children or miseducate our children about who we are and about who our heroes are.
Yes, sir.
And why they're heroes. Even the movie with Terrence Howard and Jennifer Hudson.
Right.
If you look at that movie, history is automatically skewed. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because Terrence Howard, light skin,
right,
light eyes,
that's right,
quote unquote good hair, whatever you want to call it, is portraying Mr. Mandela.
Right.
Why is that important?
That's right.
It is important because part of the apartheid structure, the structure was whites on the top.
That's right.
Indians after that. Coloreds or mixed race after that.
That's right.
Africans or black folks on the bottom.
Caste system.
And when you look at Mr. Mandela, he's clearly African. In particular, the pictures of him as a younger man, those black and white photos, where you absolutely see him. And that is the mass of the people. This is the people that the apartheid regime and the Afrikaners sought to destroy.
Yes, sir.
And those who were colored or mixed race were used to help oppress their own people. So that's a whole nother divide and a whole nother pain that has to be worked through. Right. So when you cast Terrence Howard in that role, you're automatically misportraying history. And if you have no idea about the racial strata and the politics and how that was used to divide our people, then you thinking it's okay, but it's absolutely not okay.
That's right.
Idris Elba just physically is a better representation. But I haven't seen that movie. Right. But we have to be careful because we have to understand these movies are dramatizations.
That's right.
They're not they're not documentaries. This is not everything as it happened. This is somebody's version of this man's life. And I think the movie with Idris Elba is based on Mr. Mandela's biography, A Long Walk to Freedom. Right. But even with that, you are going to have characters that were created that didn't exist.
That's right.
This is what you had in the Malcolm X movie, where you had this character, Bain, who introduces Malcolm Little to the teachers of the Nation of Islam in prison. There was no Bain. Malcolm was introduced to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad by his brothers who were ministers in the Nation of Islam.
That's right.
Now, if you tell that story in X by Spike Lee, how does that now turn all of the thinking?
Yes.
And how does that now raise additional questions about what's going on? So sometimes it's done to have a shortcut. Sometimes it's done to put a twist on a story. Sometimes it's done to make things a little interesting. And I say many times it's done to absolutely misdirect us.
That's right. Yes, sir. Clearly. Again, family, just tuned in, having a conversation with Brother Richard Muhammad, editor of the Final Call newspaper. Can't let you go, brother, without, of course, talking about it. We're talking about, again, the issues of economics, as was so pertinent and important to South Africa, as it was to, again, the apartheid movement, to bring about sanctions, to bring about economic withdrawal, to bring about divestment in South Africa. Got to talk about the importance of supporting and investing and ourselves through Muhammad economic blueprint to end poverty and want for our people. Let's give that information where brothers and sisters can participate, of course, particularly during this time of the year, as the Most High Elijah Muhammad said, we waste more money and waste more of everything during this time of the year, brother.
Absolutely. And, of course, we know that one of the death nails in the official system of apartheid was economic sanctions to help stop that.
Yes, sir.
But what we have today is that we can stop the economic sanctions we are imposing that are self-imposed by supporting the economic blueprint. And this is, we're looking for 16 million people willing to give 35 cents a week in a national treasury where we can then over 1 year accumulate over $291 million in 1 year, 35 cents a week. If you want to give a gift this season, give the gift for freedom.
Yes, sir.
Go to economicblueprint.org, economicblueprint.org. Make your contribution. You will get a receipt automatically, or you can mail your checks or your money orders, whatever you got, to Muhammad's Economic Blueprint, care of Seaway Bank and Trust Company. Attention, Sherlyn, Sherlyn Russell, P.O. Box 19522, Chicago, Illinois, 60619-9522 is the zip code. So let's invest our money in ourselves and promote a future for our children so that when the victory comes, imagine what it will be like a year from now for Minister Farrakhan to be able to announce we have $291 million in an account.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Imagine that, and don't we all want to be able to say, hey, I gave, I helped, I organized, I pushed, I prodded, I inspired, and now I'm part of the victory. Let's go on and see what we can do next, because nobody's doing anything for us. For us, we got to do something for ourselves.
Yes, sir, clearly. And, of course, before you go, brother, if we have those that would like to get that final call delivered to their home or want to be able to subscribe to that online, we'll say Obamacare prescription for a subscription for that final call, brother, where can they call to get a copy?
Absolutely. Call us at 773-602-1230, extension 200, and you can still get the print subscription. The digital subscription is not available quite yet.
It's coming.
But keep an eye out. It'll be coming soon.
Yes, sir.
You can go to Final Call right now and get something for free. But while you're there, make a donation if you can. We need your help to do the work that we're doing. And there's so much more work that we want to do. We just need the resources to get it done.
Yes, sir. All right, brother, I thank you. And may Allah just continue to bless you for all your hard work. And we'll look forward to hearing back from you. And in the meantime, in between time, if anything breaks you want to share with us, this microphone is your microphone, all right?
And my brother, thank you so much. Always honored and a pleasure to be with you.
All right, brother. Love you.
Love you too, sir.
Love you more for sure. Assalamu alaikum.
Islam.
And again, family, just tuning in. Just concluded our conversation with Brother Richard Muhammad. Let me go to this quick musical break, and then we're going to come back in and transition, talk about again the life, the death of Nelson Mandela, looking at the signs, the symbols, the occult symbolisms, and the metaphysics of his death. So we'll be back with more of the State of the City. Listen to this message, and we'll be right back.
My opinion, the young generation of white, black, brown, whatever else there is, you're living at a time of extremism, a time of revolution.
What is it revolting against? The power structure. The American power structure? No. The French power structure? No. The English power structure? No. Then what power structure? An international Western power structure.
And I, for one, will join in with anyone, don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth. And there's got to be a change. People in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built, and the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods.
So what you and I have got to do is get involved. You and I have to be right there breathing down their throat. Every time they look over their shoulder, we want them to see us. Once those intentions are made known, we can get to the nitty-gritty of the problem. We can get to the core of the problem. We can get to the root of the problem. And then we can correct the problem.
I don't want no abomination. I'm not gonna vote for your inauguration. 'Cause I don't need the abomination. I'm not gonna.
Limbo is a racist, Glenn Beck is a racist. Gaza Strip was getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit.
Holla at you briefly. I wanna meet the president, but will he meet me? Is he scared to look inside the eyes of a thug nigga? You tired of being scapegoats for this capitalistic drug dealing? How hypocritical is liberty? That blood never did shit for me. My history full of casket and scars. My own black nation at war, whole family behind bars. And they wonder why we starved. 13 looking hard, sister had a baby as an adolescent, what was gone. Somewhere in the middle of my mind is a nigga on the road screaming, let him die. Can't lie, I'm a thug. Drowning in my own blood, looking for the reason that my mama strung out on drugs. Figure if we hide, they could train us. But America fuck and blamed us. Damn the die for everything I represent. Man, every word in my letter to the president.
Gaza Strip was getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit.
You divorce yourself from the right-wing propaganda campaign. It's all simple and plain. America stands the game. Your president got an African name. Now who you gon' blame when they drop the bombs out of them planes using depleted uranium? Babies looking like two-headed aliens. Follow the money trail that leads to the criminal. Ain't nothing subliminal to it. That's how they do it. See, they run, give a cunning, articulate, and handsome. Afghanistan held for ransom by the hand of this black man. Neo-colonial puppet, white power with a black face. He said, I'll do it. A master of the skies, expert at telling lies. Then they gave him a Nobel Peace Prize. Should've known he was trained in Chicago. Word to Chairman Fred and Mark Clark. What they do in the dark will come out in the light like a WikiLeaks site. So I guess the crew was right. Who's ready to fight? Last stage of imperialism. I ain't kidding. In the immortal words of Marvin Gaye, this ain't living.
Is a racist. Gaza Strip was getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit.
OBAMA, you ain't fooling everyone. I see the games you play. Use VIP at the BIC, and we know that's a code name for CIA. The same way your cameras are watching us, we're watching you. Think we're easy to control, you ain't got a clue. Revolution's on the way, let's see what you're gonna do. You're gonna send the troops, you're gonna drop the nukes. See, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. He's sitting in the White House, so who cares if he's black? And why is there soldiers still out there in Iraq? Natural resources ain't yours, it's theirs, give it back. You're just another puppet, but I'm not surprised. Look at Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice, they didn't change shit. Niggas fresh off the slave ship, you all burn in hell, even Michelle Abomination.
Gaza Strip was getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit. I think the war on terror is a bunch of bullshit. Excuse for you to use up all your bullets. How much money does it take to really make a full clip? 9/11 building 7, did they really pull it? And a bunch of other cover-ups. Your child's future was the first to go with budget cuts. If you think that hurts, then wait, here comes the uppercut. The school was garbage in the first place, that's on the up and up. Keep you at the bottom, but tease you with the upper crust. You get it, then they move it, so you never keeping up enough. If you turn on TV, all you see is a bunch of what the fuck is dating so-and-so, blabbering about such and such, and that ain't Jersey Shore. Homie, that's the news, and these the same people supposedly telling us the truth. Limo is a racist, Glenn Beck is a racist. Gaza Strip was getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit. That's why I ain't vote for next one either. I'm a part of the problem, my problem is I'm peaceful, and I believe in the people. getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit.
A threat from Osama or from Obama. Military bases from Chagos to Okinawa. I say things that other rappers won't say, cause my mind never closed like Guantanamo Bay. Hope you didn't build a statue or tattoo your arm, cause the drones are still flying over Afghanistan. Did he defend the war? No, he extended more, even had the time to attempt to coup in Ecuador. Morales and Chavez, the states are on the hunt for ya. Military now stationed on bases in Colombia. Take a trip to the past and tell him I was right. Ask Ali Abu Naima and Jeremiah Wright. Drones over Pakistan, Yemen and Libya. Is Obama the bomber getting ready for Syria? First black president, the masses were hungry, but the same president just bombed an African country like.
Gaza Strip was getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit.
Brothers are here. They're out there somewhere. Sasha and Malia are huge fans, but boys don't get any ideas. I have 2 words for you: predator drones. You will never see it coming.
Welcome back. You listen to the State of the City. Of course, that was Brother Low Key, Brother Lupe Fiasco, and one other brother entitled, again, the Obama Nation. And with that, let me get back into, as we talked about, the death of Nelson Mandela. And if we don't get into all of this today, we'll come back in and give it to you as we looked at, again, Nelson Mandela's death, coming 9 months to the day after the death of Comandante Hugo Chavez, the president of, again, Venezuela. So there's some questions there within itself, but also looking at, again, as we talked about, the signs and the symbols, as we look at the death of Nelson Mandela, asking the questions regarding the numerology, regarding the date, December the 5th, Thursday, December the 5th, when his death was announced, which is the Greek or the Roman goat god, Fanus, F-A-U-N-U-S, which has to be looked at. It was the last day of Hanukkah, as your president was having, again, 2 dinners at the White House with members of the Jewish community. And his death was announced at the premiere of the Mandela movie, Long Walk Home. And it was announced at 6 o'clock our time. It was 9 o'clock in London. And where the story gets strange was his daughter said that he was resting. And if time permits, I'll share that with you over the next few days. One of his daughters said he was resting well at home, and the other one said that they learned of his death not at the beginning of the movie, but at the end of the movie. But yet, for some reason, they told the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, meaning William and Kate Middleton. So that within itself raises some questions, and you have to look at the signs and symbols of, again, what they were wearing that particular night, dealing with the dualities of the black and the white in terms of the colors. He was wearing black, she was wearing white. And, of course, the red carpet, which represents the blood of the masses of the people. And as I said before, we have to look at the fact that this came 10 months after the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, after his visit from the Knights of Malta, the military wing of the Jesuits. The Knights of Malta, the 900-year organization, which was celebrating their anniversary. And this will be now their 1,000th year coming up in January. So we'll have to look at those signs and those symbols as well, particularly since we're doing this time of the year, as your Bible talks about, not being dismayed by the signs in heaven and the paganisms of, again, Brumalia, Saturnalia, and, of course, Nimrod, which is celebrated during this time of the year. So keep your eyes on, again, as I said before, the metaphysics, the numerology, and the signs and symbols around the death of Nelson Mandela. Of course, his body was guarded by British soldiers, and we saw with the Queen. Now, you would have to ask, if they were fighting against the British, why would the Queen be paying homage and respect to Nelson Mandela? That raises even more questions, as well as the Duke or Bishop of Canterbury regarding the death of Nelson Mandela as well, and his body laying in state for 12 days, which has much symbolisms as well. And as I said before, your president, as well as others who would not visit or go and attend the Durban Conference on Racism, So after the memorial on Tuesday, there was a memorial in Durban, and there'll be ongoing, again, memorials and the funeralizing of Nelson Mandela. But I had so many more notes that I'll get into over the next couple of days as we look at and go deeper into, again, as I said before, the occult symbolisms, the numerology, which I'm going to definitely go deeper into as well. But we'll just start with December the 5th, that Thursday, which is Thor's Day, when his death was announced. And I'm sure many of you know about the Roman god Thor, which many of your days of the week, Moon's Day to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday to Friday to Saturnalia, Saturday, back to Sunday. But he was, again, announced dead on December the 5th, last Thursday, Thor's Day, as we said before. And there's much when we begin to do the math regarding, again, 14 years since Nelson Mandela was the president in South Africa. And again, looking at the number 5 in terms of the December 5th. And as I said before, 12 days of mourning, 12 days of memorializing Nelson Mandela, which cannot be minimized nor sanitized as well. But he went from being, again, his struggles in terms of his vilification, the adoration, and his vindication, fighting against this global white supremacy, as well as, again, fighting for the freedom of South Africa. But I would have to say to the young people from 5 to 55 years old that this is your movement, this is our movement. And again, you must find your aim and your purpose, for every generation has a duty and a responsibility to live, to give, to serve, to educate, to agitate, as well as to elevate our struggle and for the generations to come behind us. And we cannot find ourselves neglecting our legacy or disrespecting our legacy as well. But you got to inject yourself, and it's so much information that we're in an age of information explosion that it's no need for you to think that Nelson Mandela is one and the same with, what's his name that played Mandela, Terrence Howard or Idris Albus or Albus Idris, or with Morgan Freeman, thinking that he is Nelson Mandela. And you can't think that when we're talking about Winnie, that you think we're talking about Winnie, Tigger, Piglet, and the rest of the crew. But we're talking about the mother of the South African, of course, movement for freedom, justice, and equality, Mother Winnie Mandela, because you will have those that will seek to white her and write her out of history as well. And then we'll come back over the next couple of days and ask what comes now as we look at your president, your funky president, giving his speech over there. And it was not the right time, right place, nor space, and it was a disgrace. So don't just talk about, again, the fake gentleman that was on stage next to him that was doing sign language, but talk about, again, your president, who was, again, acting as a fake, some type of reality TV show, trying to get some attention, like these Desperate Housewives. And some of you only think about Africa and South Africa when these reality TV shows go to Africa, whether it's Big Brother, whether it's Survivor, or your Desperate Housewives from Nene to Portia to Kenya to the rest of them. They go to Johannesburg, then you're talking about Johannesburg. Other than that, it's out of sight, out of mind. So again, this should be the time that we should be engaging our brothers and sisters from South Africa that are living inside of the United States to learn more about that struggle, but to let it burn into our hearts, our minds, our ears, our soul, because their struggle is one and the same as ours, and to teach the young people, and not just in young in age, but those that do not know, but at least they're willing to say that they don't know. As I said before, make this a teachable moment and a reachable moment to say, I can't name 5 countries in Africa, but I'm be willing to at least learn because I've admitted I don't know. I can't name 5 presidents. I don't know, but I'm at least willing to learn rather than wallow in your ignorance or celebrate your ignorance by saying, okay, I don't know, but give me that next Cavassier. Give me that next whatever it is that you're drinking, as opposed to saying, no, I got some serious thinking and reflection that I must do, so that my children don't have to learn this. And this is even for the conscious community that have become subconscious in some aspects, that stop teaching themselves and teaching their children as well, and the generations that are not necessarily your direct and biological children, but they're children, of course, of the struggle and children of the movement. So with that, let me open up the lines and maybe get your thoughts, questions, comments on what you heard from Brother Richard Muhammad, or thoughts and comments on it. Some of you, of course, as I said before, didn't like the fact that I was talking about the president, and the president, again, using the memorial of Nelson Mandela, which was not the proper time, place, no space for him to conduct himself the way he conducted himself with a campaign speech. And he would not have done that in any other place. And as I said before, he did not go to the Durban conference or did not go to the city of Durban, which many left where the memorial service was held, and went to Durban, which was the site, of course, of the numerous conferences in which Zionism was equated with racism, as well as, again, the World Conference Against Racism, talking about human rights in America and global human rights. So if you want to get in on the conversation, 410-761-1592. Program reminder, tomorrow I'll be joined by Brother Glenn Ford from Black Agenda Report, and we'll talk about that and much more. And we'll bring it on home locally and look at some of the local news and what's going on in the city of Baltimore regarding, again, public policies that are still affecting our people, majority black, brown, red, yellow, and white, but the majority black and brown, whether we're talking about what's happening in the prison system, whether we're talking about what's happening around policing, and, of course, what is happening, of course, with many of our people caught up in this amazing rat race. And at the end of the race, there'll still be a rat in terms of trying to keep up with the isms, asms, and scasms during this time of the year. But let me come to the line. If you have a thought, question, comment, 410-761-1592. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the State of the City.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Don.
Alaikum salam. How you doing, soldier?
You heard out the horses love yourself, brother.
Yes.
Predator drones.
Yes, sir. That's what he
You
said.
heard out? Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he means, too.
Yes, sir. He is the Predator. I know when we was coming up, there was always that movie, The Predator with Schwarzenegger, right? But we got a real Predator. He is the Drone Ranger, as I so eloquently coined him, brother, as well as Black Agenda Report. He is the Drone Ranger, not the Lone Ranger, as well as Joe Louis was called the Brown Bomber. But he clearly is the Brown Bomber when you look at, of course, using drones to kill what some would call collateral damage, but these are human beings. See, and tomorrow or the next couple of days, they'll be stopping and talking about, remember Sandy Hook 1 year ago. They'll be talking about children that I haven't seen a basket, a casket, or anything else that they say died in Newtown, Connecticut. But I do know of the countless children that they've shown in Syria, in Libya, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Somalia, and other countries that have been victims of drive-bys through the use of drones that the American people and our people seem to not want to talk about their humanity. And it lets you see some of our people have lost their sanity, brother, around the policies of this president because he has their complexion connection. But I ain't interested in the complexion. I'm interested in some serious corrections right now, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, brother, another thing. Why are they making a big deal out of this Castro's brother?
Yeah,
I mean, did they make a big deal out when the Bushes were shaking hands with Bin Laden and them?
Yes, sir. Not just shaking hands, signing contracts with them. You go over to the Middle East, the biggest construction company over there is the Bin Ladens and the Saudis, who the Bushes, of course, are members of the extension of the Saud or the fraud family, as well as President Barack Obama. We can keep it real, but he's Jesuit or Knights of Malta, and so was, again, Nelson Mandela. And when we look at it, we'll realize that Castro, who is a Knight of Malta, as well as his brother. So, you know, only the people at the bottom get caught up in them distractions. The people up top understand those interlocking relationships, brother. All right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You
sir.
have a nice day, brother.
All right,
Good
you
show.
do the same now. All right, assalamu alaikum. And with that, we'll come back to the lines, 410-761-1592. But I keep saying that the four horsemen who were bringing death from Bush, who was there, from Obama, who was there, who was Clinton, who was there, who was a demolay. And I'll come back and get into all of that in terms of Clinton being a demolay and a Jesuit and those interlocking connections as well that you have to be shown. And then perhaps you may know why they went there to Nelson Mandela's funeral, because perhaps it's bigger than a funeral to them. Could be some cosmic vampires, could be, of course, the reptilian chameleons in terms of that energy of Nelson Mandela and what is there on that parallel in South Africa near the equator. But with that, let me come back to the lines, 410-761-1592. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the State of the City.
Good afternoon, Brother Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
You know, I was just sitting here, man, just thinking about how Baltimore City, man, has actually become a police state. You know, I work for the Department of Housing Authorities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working in Gilmore Homes.
Yes.
And they have these apartment buildings with maybe like 12 units within inside the building. And each one of these units used to have a safety lock on the door. They took all these locks off so the police can be able to run up in these buildings at any time they want.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, they got old senior citizens living in these buildings. The buildings is not safe any longer. It's not secure because all the entrance doors, they took all the locks off. The mayor and the commissioner of housing sanctioned this so the police can just run up in these buildings anytime they want.
Yes, sir. Okay. I'll come back and get into that, I promise you, over the next couple of days on that issue, brother, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for checking in and sharing that information with me. And with that, we'll come back to your lines. 410-761-1592. Good afternoon, caller. You on the state of the city. Got to turn that radio down, or we'll check that line. With that, we'll come back to your line. Good afternoon, caller. You on the state of the city.
Oh, good afternoon.
Yes.
Barry, you were speaking about the fact that they're trying to wipe Winnie Mandela out of his history.
Yes.
But they've also written his first wife out. He had another wife.
He had. Well, I think this is his third wife that he has right now. I think Winnie was the second wife that he had.
The second wife. Yeah. Well, what happened to the first wife?
Yeah.
I remember reading about her, and
Right.
she said that they had a son together.
Yes.
And the son died with meningitis.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even come back to the funeral.
Yes,
he was
ma'am.
so busy running after Winnie.
Right.
And the men used to laugh at him because Winnie was very young. She's 20 years younger
she's
than
20
he.
years younger. Yes, ma'am.
And
Right.
running after that young girl. So what about the first wife? Why is it no
Right.
one talk about her?
I don't know, but I do know that there's a book that Winnie wrote. Well, hopefully we can get a copy of that. We'll share information, of course, out of that book as well. Not just the Long Walk for Freedom, but again, the book that Winnie Mandela wrote. But I think we got to talk about all aspects, the good and the not so good. You know what I mean?
Did she
To
talk
give
about
big
his
time
first wife
and
in
to
that?
get the balance. I don't know, but I have to read it, and once I read it, I'll definitely bring it on the air and share it with you as well.
What's
All right?
the name of that book again?
Not the Long Walk to Freedom. I think this one's called something about hopes. Dealing with the hopes. So we'll get that and share that with you, all right?
Oh, and here's something else.
Yes.
You said when people think about Winnie, they think about Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, the young folk, when we say Winnie, some of the young folk and
My-
adults think we talking about Winnie the Pooh, not Winnie Mandela.
Hold up. My name is Winnie.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
And I was born before her.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you, my sister. All right.
Okay.
That's another Winnie to think about. All right.
Yes.
All right. With
Thank
that,
you.
we'll take more of your calls. 410-761-1592. You can get in on the conversation if you like. With that, let me come back to the lines. We got to wash, rinse, and repeat when it comes to the history, man, because many of our young people, and I'm not just talking about those who are supposed to be the lost founds or unconscious. I'm not talking about the ones you say are ignorant. I'm talking about even the children of those in the conscious community, those that was fighting against apartheid. They stopped teaching, and some of them stopped fighting. So they got to go and dust off their kente. You remember we had plenty of kente flowing around in the black community. They got to go dust off the kente, the Obama mugs, the Dr. King mugs, the Malcolm X mugs and T-shirts and everything else, because the struggle continues. With that, let me come back to the line before we wrap up.
Brother Muhammad, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
All right. Brother Muhammad, I was just want to say that Brother Nelson was a strong man, and he really loved his people, and he
Yes.
made a lot of sacrifices and
That's
all.
right. Yes, sir.
But in the end, my belief is, it had not been for Winnie continuing that struggle, man, and that battle, I don't think Brother Nelson would have never gotten out of jail.
Yes, sir.
I don't believe that. I think they had a problem with Winnie because they couldn't buy her off or trick off like they do a lot of our people.
That's right.
And it's not that she didn't want to deal with them, but they didn't want to give her what she was asking for. And I think eventually all this stuff going to come out.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
We'll get into
they
that.
had to come back to Brother Nelson, let him out of, because there was a lot of stuff still going on over there, Brother Muhammad.
Oh, absolutely.
So when he came out, and he talked to him and negotiated with him, and kind of got things under control. Because Winnie wouldn't deal with him like that.
Yes, sir.
And Brother Nelson was strong by it, but he never forgotten the people that stood by him, and I really love him for that.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about the Colonel Gaddafi, Castro,
Chavez,
and,
yes, sir.
people like that.
Yasser Arafat, yes, sir.
Arafat,
right?
Because a lot of time, Brother Muhammad, God send people to us to help us.
That's right.
And we just turn our backs on them. We got them here, like the minister and
Yes, sir.
Colonel. He should have never been taken out like that because he was instrumental in our struggle.
Right. Yes, sir.
He had the finance to help us.
Yes.
I believe God had put that man there to help us. And we kind of did. We didn't do what we should have did by him.
Yes, sir.
As far as Castro, the same thing. He wanted to come here, and this government, want to stop anybody that's for us. The government is against them.
Right. Yes, sir.
That should tell us something right there.
That's right.
Thanks for your time, Brother Muhammad.
Thank you, brother.
God bless you.
Appreciate it. God bless you. With that, we're going to begin to wrap up today. I understand we got a new show and a new flow coming in this afternoon. See if I can get my man Deke on. Maybe he can give us an update on what it is. But we're going to begin to wrap up. We'll podcast the show on Spreaker, on Facebook, and on Twitter. To get a copy of the show, give me a call, 443-762-4762. We'll go a little deeper tomorrow as we're joined by Brother Glenn Ford, and we'll continue, as I said before, because you're probably not going to hear this conversation and, of course, this analysis anyplace else on the airwaves of the State of the City. on the airwaves elsewhere regarding talking about this information. But again, we're going to begin to wrap up on the show, and we'll podcast the show on our Facebook page and on our Twitter page. We do need your support to come longer and stronger, so please make your checks, money orders payable to WFBR. WFBR, send it to 159 8th Avenue, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061, or do a righteous drive-by and drop it off the Terror Cafe so that we continue to come longer and stronger to support strong, black, independent, imperative radio that we, of course, share with you each and every day and in each and every way on these airways. So we're going to close out with Nelson Mandela. And again, be safe, be watchful, be vigilant, and God bless, and let's continue to clean up all of this mess. So again, we'll close out with Nelson Mandela. Stay tuned for a brand new show, brand new flow that's coming on this afternoon. Got to thank quickly my sponsors, Terror Cafe at 25th and St. Paul. Also, Charm City Chicken and Waffle Restaurant right there at 807 Washington Boulevard. And PM Diversified Tax Services. Give them a call for your tax services, 410-367-5615. And he'll pick up and deliver. So what's that new show coming up? Next week? Next week they'll be up in the seat, and hopefully they'll bring some heat like we bring it here up in the seat, and be a nice little treat. So we're going to close out shortly with, again, Baba Nelson Mandela. And I thank all of you that tuned in. And again, as I said before, we got to reach out to our brothers and sisters who are here scattered from South Africa and have some forums and get back into teaching the people and the generations to come, as I said before, because this struggle is their struggle and our struggle is their struggle, and it's one and the same, inexplicably tied together. So again, we'll be back here tomorrow at 12 noon with Brother Glenn Ford, and we'll close out with Nelson Mandela. Listen to this, and we'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon. Until then, peace.
Our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be given the rights of a human being, to be respected as a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence.
By any means necessary.
The views expressed on the preceding program do not necessarily reflect those of the WED Broadcasting Corporation or the staff and management of WFBR. This is